Most heated moment in NFL you have to see. Helmet brawls and sideline chaos. In NFL history, there have been moments where the game stopped being just a game and things spiraled completely out of control. These are the incidents where emotions, rivalries, and aggression reached a dangerous level. In this video, we take a look at some of the most controversial and intense on-field fights that shocked the league, the players, and the fans. Number 1. Myles Garrett vs. Mason Rudolph, Helmet Brawl, 2019. With 8 seconds left in a Browns-Steelers Thursday night game, Myles Garrett sacked Mason Rudolph after a quick throw, and the two wrestled on the ground while pulling at each other's helmets. Garrett managed to rip Rudolph's helmet off, and as both players got back to their feet, Rudolph moved toward him again. In that moment, Garrett swung the helmet and struck Rudolph in the head, which immediately triggered a larger fight involving multiple players. The situation escalated beyond normal football contact the moment a helmet was used against a player without one. Combined with the long-standing rivalry between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the fact that the game was on a primetime stage, the incident felt like a clear line had been crossed. Rudolph's prior concussion history also added to the seriousness of the moment. The NFL suspended Garrett indefinitely for at least the remainder of the 2019 season. Maurkice Pouncey received a 3-game suspension, while Larry Ogunjobi was suspended for 1 game. Both teams were fined $250,000, and Rudolph was also fined for his involvement. The incident quickly became one of the most referenced examples of extreme on-field violence in modern NFL history. It set a new benchmark for how the league handles in-game fights and continues to be one of the first clips shown when discussing NFL altercations. Number 2. Albert Haynesworth stomps on Andre Gurode, 2006. During a Cowboys-Titans game, Andre Gurode was on the ground near the goal line when his helmet came off after a play. Albert Haynesworth then kicked toward Gurode and followed it by stomping directly on his exposed face. The impact caused a severe cut near Gurode's eye that required around 30 stitches, and officials immediately flagged and ejected Haynesworth. The moment stood out because the action was directed at a helmetless player lying on the ground with no active play involved. The visible injury and the location of the hit, close to the eye, made it appear more serious than a typical late hit or unnecessary roughness penalty. The NFL suspended Haynesworth for 5 games without pay, which at the time was the longest suspension ever for an on-field incident. He was also fined, and the incident drew widespread criticism from media and players. This became one of the league's primary reference points when evaluating intentional violence during games. It contributed to a stricter focus on player safety and discipline regarding actions after the whistle. Number 3. Andre Johnson vs. Cortland Finnegan sideline fight, 2010. Late in a Titans-Texans game, Cortland Finnegan made contact with Andre Johnson at the line, including jabs to the face mask and neck area. Johnson responded by grabbing Finnegan, removing his helmet, and throwing multiple punches as the two players wrestled. Finnegan also pulled Johnson's helmet off before officials and teammates stepped in to separate them, and both players were ejected. The altercation escalated quickly due to repeated contact before the play fully developed. The fact that both players lost their helmets and continued throwing punches made the situation more intense and clearly visible as a direct fight rather than routine contact. The NFL fined both players $25,000 but did not issue suspensions. The decision drew some criticism given the clarity of the punches during the incident. The fight remains one of the most recognizable one-on-one altercations in NFL history. It is frequently referenced in discussions about player confrontations and sideline discipline. Number 4. Odell Beckham Jr. Sideline Brawl, 2014. In a December 2014 matchup, Odell Beckham Jr. caught a pass and was forced out of bounds by Alec Ogletree near the sideline of the New York Giants. What should have been the end of a routine play quickly turned volatile. After stepping out, Beckham reacted emotionally, first attempting to strike Ogletree with the ball, then following it up with a kick in his direction. That instant reaction triggered a response from Ogletree, and within seconds, the situation spiraled. Because the play ended right beside the bench area, teammates were only steps away, players from both the Giants and the street. Louis Rams rushed in almost immediately, transforming a one-on-one confrontation into a crowded sideline clash. The tight space made separation difficult, and multiple mini altercations broke out at the same time, adding to the confusion. Officials struggled to regain control as the confrontation spread, eventually issuing multiple personal fouls. The situation escalated to the point where 3 players, Preston Parker, Demontre Moore, and William Hayes, were ejected from the game. The overall contest became heavily penalized, with the Giants in particular accumulating a high number of infractions. This incident is often referenced as a textbook example of how quickly sideline plays can escalate. With limited space, heightened emotions, and immediate proximity to teammates, even a small spark can ignite a full-scale confrontation. The league has since continued to emphasize strict enforcement and multiple ejections in bench area altercations, and this moment remains a clear case study in that approach. Number 5, Joey Porter vs. William Green pregame fight 2004. One of the most unusual altercations in NFL history occurred before kickoff in 2004 when Joey Porter of the Pittsburgh Steelers and William Green of the Cleveland Browns clashed during pregame warm-ups. The two players initially exchanged words near midfield, something not entirely uncommon in a heated rivalry setting. However, instead of de-escalating, both moved closer, and the verbal confrontation quickly turned physical. Punches were thrown before the game had even begun, shocking players, coaches, and officials who were still in pregame routines. The timing made the incident especially striking. Pre-game warm-ups are typically structured and controlled, with minimal physical contact. Seeing a fight break out in that setting immediately drew national attention, as it broke one of the unwritten expectations of game preparation. Teammates, coaches, and officials rushed in to separate Porter and Green before the situation could spread further. Both players were ejected before kickoff, a rare decision that underscored the seriousness of the altercation. The league later issued fines, reinforcing its stance on maintaining discipline even before the game officially starts. This remains one of the few documented cases where a pre-game fight led directly to ejections. It also added another intense chapter to the long-standing Steelers-Browns rivalry, highlighting how emotions between teams can boil over even before the first snap is played. Number 6. Bench clearing brawls, various eras. Across multiple eras of the National Football League, games have occasionally spiraled out of control when a single late hit or heated exchange ignited full-scale bench-clearing brawls. What often begins as a minor confrontation quickly escalates as players from both sidelines rush onto the field, turning isolated tension into widespread chaos. In these moments, the structure of the game completely breaks down. Instead of one-on-one matchups, the field fills with clusters of players pushing, grabbing, and wrestling simultaneously. Officials are forced into crowd control mode, trying to separate dozens of athletes at once rather than managing a single incident. The visual alone, entire sidelines emptying into a confined space, creates an overwhelming sense of disorder. These altercations are particularly difficult to contain because of the sheer number of participants. With emotions running high and limited space near the sideline, players often get pulled into conflicts they weren't originally part of. The result is a chaotic mix of mini fights happening all at once, making it nearly impossible to assign immediate accountability during the moment. Afterward, the consequences are usually significant. Multiple ejections are handed out, followed by fines and sometimes suspensions once the league reviews the footage. The NFL has consistently reinforced strict penalties for players leaving the sideline to join fights, using these incidents as teaching points for discipline and control. Even today, bench-clearing brawls remain a staple in discussions about game management and player behavior. They are frequently revisited in highlight packages and analysis segments, often serving as prime examples of how quickly competitive intensity can spiral into complete chaos when boundaries are crossed. Number 7. Teammate and coach sideline fights. While fights between opponents are expected in high-intensity sports, the rare moments when teammates or even coaches clash on the same sideline create an entirely different kind of shock. Over the years, there have been multiple instances across the National Football League where internal frustration boiled over into physical confrontations caught live on broadcast cameras. These scenes often include players shoving each other on the bench, coaches exchanging heated words that turn physical, or staff members rushing in to restrain their own teammates. Unlike opponent brawls, where aggression is directed outward, these moments highlight internal fractures within a team. Visually, it sends a powerful message. Seeing teammates hold each other back not from opponents, but from each other immediately signals dysfunction. It suggests deeper issues beneath the surface, whether it's frustration with performance, leadership struggles, or emotional breakdowns during high-pressure moments. The aftermath of these incidents typically extends beyond the field. Teams often issue internal discipline, fines, or public statements addressing the situation. Media coverage intensifies, with analysts questioning team culture, locker room stability, and leadership effectiveness. Because of this, clips of teammate or coach altercations are often reused as B-roll in future discussions about struggling or dysfunctional teams. They serve as a stark contrast to traditional rivalries, emphasizing that sometimes the biggest conflicts happen within, not against, an opponent. These moments serve as reminders of how quickly emotions can escalate in the NFL, turning routine plays into unforgettable incidents. While the game is built on intensity and competition, these fights highlight the fine line between controlled aggression and actions that go too far. From helmet swings to sideline chaos and full-team altercations, each of these incidents left a lasting mark on the league and continues to be referenced years later. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content covering the most intense and controversial moments in sports.